Mathare, one of Kenya's biggest slums. Nearly all its residents live in corrugated iron shacks. Landlords such as Peter Chege are better known as slumlords. They pay gangs in the slum to collect overdue rent, with violence if need be.
This is Africa. Mostly we use machetes and some knives, you know. This is Africa. We go the old way. And as you can see, we are in slum. So slum, you have to be tough to survive.
Mathare lies northeast of downtown Nairobi, the capital. Over 800,000 people live here, the vast majority on less than $1 a day. Peter Chege stops at nothing to collect the rent money. Peter Chege is just one of many slumlords in Mathare. Typically, they throw together the cheapest possible housing with no kitchen or running water and then charge rent for it. And if necessary, they resort to violence to get it. They make lots of money doing this, earning them a reputation for exploiting the poorest of Kenya's poor.
I've got 30 houses here in Mathare. I've been putting them up since I first came here, and I'd like to expand even more. My ultimate goal is to have 40 houses. Being a landlord is good. If you get your money from all the households, you can earn very well and expand even further before long. Just from what you make, you can build many new houses.
The housing market is not at all regulated. Tenants have to pay whatever the landlord demands, so people share the living space to make it affordable. An average of 2.6 persons to a one-room shack for the equivalent of some €30 a month. Slumlord Peter Chege collects his rent in person. For the camera, he puts on an amiable face.
Hey, how you doing? Have you got anything for me, or not yet? Okay, is everything going all right? Is your husband home? No problem. When he comes, tell him hello for me. Have you heard anything from your neighbor? No? Okay, fine. Is your neighbor here? Later, huh? Are you there?
But if someone fails to pay their rent on time, the slumlords hire gangs to collect it. Gangs who can be quick to resort to violence. For about €10, they'll strong-arm the tenants or throw them out.
Mostly we use machetes and some knives, you know. This is Africa. We go the old way. One of our landlords, while they are crashing with their tenants, someone was trying to throw some more at the tenant, was beaten up. It's part of bullying because it is removing their things and putting them out without giving them second chance or without hearing what they have to say, or if they have the money or if they are able to get the money the other way around. We depend on the issues like that because you have to have issues like that so that you can survive. So we make sure that both ways we don't lose the work. So we have to be good with the landlord. We have to be the side of the landlord. I myself, I've beaten some people up. It's not easy. Here you have to be tough so that you can be rich. So to have that cash, you must be tough so that the boss will see that you're doing a good job and he'll urge you something. We believe here the tougher you are, the wealthier you become.
More and more people are crowding into Nairobi's slums, migrating from drought-stricken countrysides in search of food, water, and a better life. But the rents in the slums turn into a kind of trap for many of them, a bondage from which they find no escape. Agnes Muhavishe is 57 years old. She's lived here for 18 years now.
I came to the slum of Mathare so my children could go to school. Right now there are just no jobs for me. I used to get odd jobs so I could pay the school fees. When the pandemic came, everything got a lot harder. There aren't any jobs anymore. I don't have money for food or the rent. Everything's gotten so hard because hardly any opportunities are left to earn money. Sometimes I'm so stressed I get sick.
In a nearby area, Agnes joins other women to wait for odd jobs and earn a bit of money. But often enough, no jobs are to be had. Agnes wants to know how the job hunting is going. We're all struggling, the woman says. There just aren't any jobs. Agnes stayed home yesterday, so she wants to know how it went. The woman found a couple of jobs, she says, but today there's nothing. She'll have to try again.
The odd jobs I used to get were things like doing laundry. Now I come here and lots of young women are sitting there, also waiting for what few jobs there are. Often they tell me I'm too old, and then they take the young women, and I stay behind without a job.
This time, Agnes Muhavishe was lucky enough to get a job washing clothes for a family. Every month, once again, she faces the pressure of having to earn enough to pay the rent.
Usually the landlord comes shortly before the due date, on the 8th of every month. If he comes by and you don't have any money, he gets very angry, and there's trouble.
Many people here sit in the same boat. Life in the city carries a high price for the residents, especially because a black market economy has a stranglehold on the slum. Food, water, electricity and rents all cost more than in the country. Peter Chege keeps meticulous accounts. The ones who pay get a receipt. Those who don't get a visit from one of the slum gangs.
The teenage gangs know the people who live here in the slum far better than the police do. They're always willing to help collect the rent. If you go to the police, they'll ask you for a pile of money first. And you end up paying more than the 6,000 shillings the tenant owes you. I built these corrugated iron houses myself. It'll take 5 years for me to make the money back I invested in them, because I generally put in a cement floor. How long it'll take in the end, you can't say in advance, because you'll always have a couple of renters who can't pay. I've come for the rent, but I see the people aren't here. But there's no problems with your husband, because he paid his rent yesterday. The others aren't here, are they? It's empty. There's nobody home. They're probably out looking for work.
Renters who are in arrears don't usually stay home during the day. For doing laundry, Agnes Muhavishe earns about €1.50, but she needs €30 for rent. If she doesn't pay on time, her landlord may resort to extreme measures.
We live in a house that belongs to our landlord. Sometimes, if we didn't pay the rent by the due date, the landlord would come and put a padlock on the house. He would only unlock it again if we paid the rent.
She hasn't been able to pay the rent for 4 months.
If I earn a little money and spend it on food, I'm afraid I won't have enough at the end of the month. The landlord will come and throw us out of the house, and do it before you've eaten or cooked something for the kids. I can't sleep anymore because I don't know how it'll go on. He can come any time and throw us out. And so I'm afraid all the time, because just anything can happen.
Agnes lives with her husband, children and grandchildren. 8 people in the one-room shack without a kitchen, bath or running water. If they don't pay the back rent soon, they could be out on the street. But the family has something else to worry about: the children's future.
Normally the children would be going to school. The oldest is already back at school. Now I keep getting messages from the school that I have to pay the fees, which I haven't done yet. And when the younger ones start back to school, I don't have the slightest idea where I'm going to get the money for it.
Because of the corona pandemic, many slum residents have not been able to pay their rent. So many of Peter Chege's houses are standing empty.
The renters in this place have been unreachable for 3 months now. In this apartment, the renter has nothing at all. He's been out of work for 3 months. I can't get anything from him. This renter moved out 6 months in arrears because of the corona pandemic. The place has been standing empty since then. Empty? Empty. I won't even have enough money to paint the walls properly here. I don't know if the government pays subsidies for landlords to renovate their houses. We've had to go without the rent from a lot of tenants who just can't pay. They don't have any belongings that you can confiscate, so very often I end up empty-handed.
Some say, while his tenants are struggling to survive, Peter Chege has no worries. Still, his position is ambivalent. He might leave his renters alone for a few months, but then send a gang to collect the payments by force. Either way, people here are dependent on slumlords like him.